Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, and welcome back to the channel. Today I want to talk about White Knight Presents Generation Joker. So, from what I can gather from this, this is set after Curse of the White Knight. I don't know if you need to read White Knight Presents Harley Quinn, because I didn't actually get to finish that, unfortunately. I've got 5 out of the 6 issues, so I don't have number 3, and because of that I couldn't really finish the series. Since then, I've read Presents Red Hood. I've read a couple of issues of Beyond the White Knight. Is it Beyond the White Knight? Yes, Batman Beyond the White Knight. And I just kind of forgotten about it, to be honest. It takes so long for things to come out within this universe that I do kind of forget things, and I just trail off onto other books. But this came in my latest kind of comic pickup from my local comic book shop, and I was really interested because I do love the White Knight series, and I remember really enjoying it. And I'm always willing to give it anything Black Label and anything new a go, essentially. And I know that there was some real potential for the White Knight universe, as it were, from Sean Murphy, because he crafted something quite special with that first series. And I read this and I was just drawn back into this universe. I remembered why I liked it so much, and it makes me feel a bit ashamed to think that I haven't read the complete collection of everything so far. There's a few things that I do vaguely remember, but things that I really do feel like I need to kind of catch up, and potentially I may need to read everything from the beginning again. Because like I said, this seems to be heavily based after Curse of the White Knight. So I'm not too sure how much it has to do with Red Hood or Beyond, but it does seem like there's a potential continuation there, because Bruce is still the older Bruce. He seems to have a bit of problem with the law. They make a bit of a comment saying, "Are you going back to jail, Dad?" And Red Hood does make an appearance. Now, I'm not entirely sure, but in this book there is reference to an Agent Prince. I don't know if it's supposed to be Wonder Woman or not, but she does make, again, another reference to an Agent Stewart, which, again, I'm assuming is going to be Green Lantern, but I haven't seen anything and there's no confirmation of that. But again, it's all building up to potentially what is a really expanded universe. And I believe I did say this potentially in Curse of the White Knight, that I think that this series had the potential to be what the Dark Knight Returns universe from Frank Miller wanted to be. And that tailed off very quickly. The first book, fantastic. The second book was not too sure. And the third book is terrible. But this, I think the biggest problem for the White Knight series that I see so far is the amount of time it takes between each book. I actually can't remember when... I wonder if I'll be able to do this on the fly. Can't remember... Oh, that happened, didn't it? I can't remember when White Knight was released, but I do remember it being quite a few years ago. Considering it's saying PlayStation 4 there, it's been a while. So 2017. So 6 years? So it's been 6 years. We've had Series 1, White Knight. Series 2, Curse of the White Knight. We had the spin-off within that, which is the Mr. Freeze spin-off. Then we had Series 3, which was Harley Quinn. Series 4, which is, I want to say, Beyond. With a little two-parter Red Hood. And then I would say this is like Series 5. So Generation Joker. So yeah, 6 years. Obviously, as an average, they're coming out approximately one every year. But with the fact that this is this is now its own universe. So who wrote this? Katana, is it Katana Collins? I'm so sorry if I'm butchering that name. But obviously Sean Murphy, as I said in a previous video about the White Knight series, Sean Murphy's come up with the whole idea, but then he's getting other people to write the scripts of multiple different things. So for something like that, I would expect, again, if I was one of the higher ups in DC, I'd be saying to Sean Murphy, take a step back, you know, come up with the ideas of what you want within the universe, but give them to some writers that you want to work on them, and that way you can capitalize on the popularity of these books. And instead of having one series every year, to the point where, like I said, this feels like, considering the last thing that you see on in issue 1, it's a direct callback to Curse of the White Knight. Curse of the White Knight was, what, 5 years ago. Considering something like that, your readers are either going to have been sort of aged out of these books or completely forgotten what's going on. So capitalize on it while you can. Now, don't get me wrong, they're probably just as popular as they have been, but it's the fact that people might start losing interest. Like, for me, I love this book. I think it's fantastic, but it is making me question, like, do I want to continue? Because I can't remember these things. And do I want to wait for a complete saga collection or an omnibus? Because I think this would be an incredible omnibus to own, like the White Knight collection. So it does raise some interesting questions from that front. But overall, I think this is a really good book. And again, part of the problem is I can't remember the artwork from everything else. But I do think the artwork in this is incredible. It does look a little bit cartoony. It does kind of remind me of the Batman, the animated series, the Adventure Continues books, because they are very cartoony. They're very much like the Batman animated series. But this is something that is obviously within its own universe, and I like the story that Jack Napier, Joker, takes his kids on, like, one last ride. You know, this is his AI because Joker's dead, taking his kids out, wanting to say, in his words, his final goodbye. So it's it has the incredible potential to be a really good story, and especially, like I said, the last thing you see is very heavily tied to Curse. So it does show how this universe is very, very interconnected. But again, that's part of the problem, where I think that people might forget. And for me personally, I love this, I really do, but I want to now go back and reread things just to see what I've forgotten or what I potentially did miss. Because if I've missed things, then I think that shows the incredible writing that it is. But if I've just forgotten them, then that's on me, and I feel like that's where we need to talk about, maybe they need to capitalize on things and releasing books slightly sooner than they should. You know, if they've got multiple different writers on this, then there shouldn't be a problem with them releasing sooner. But I will say, overall, Generation Joker issue 1, really good read. You definitely do have to read the previous books in the series, at least White Knight and Curse of the White Knight, I would say. Potentially Harley Quinn, but like I said, I didn't actually finish that. But definitely worth a read, especially if you like the White Knight universe. And I still think it's going strong, despite my concerns about the timeline. But guys, if you have read any of the Batman Presents the White Knight books, in particular Generation Joker, let me know what you think about it down in the comments below. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe, because it really does help me out, and I'll see you in the next video.